Hello, I'm Billy Brimblecom Jr.
And we're Screened on the Spot.
And we're getting to know me through the movies.
Wonderful. It's our best one yet.
Nailed it.
We nailed it.
I think so.
We always fumble over the
Okay.
where it's always us. Thanks for doing this. Welcome to Screen on the Spot.
Thank you.
I know you've been at our station probably a few times.
Yes, many times, but not in this room.
Not in this specific. Well, yeah, that's true. Actually, not many people really come in here except for us.
It was a storage closet until we took it over for our
Yes.
video podcast. Vidcast?
Vidcast.
We're
Vidcast.
workshopping.
Yeah.
Feels homey in
Yeah,
here.
thanks.
It's mostly Justin stuff.
It is a lot.
Yeah.
Most of the all the posters are mine.
That's good.
Most of the books and trinkets are mine.
It did. Is this a signed
Yeah.
Billy D. Williams?
Yeah.
It is.
To you?
To me specifically. Yeah.
When did you get that? Have you had that like a long time?
Yeah, like 7 or 8 years ago at Planet Comic Con here in Kansas City.
Incredible.
Yeah, it was a cool moment.
Yeah.
We're friends now, obviously.
Well, right.
Yeah. So you do a lot of things. So we're going to talk about a lot of things and ask a lot of questions you've probably heard before.
Okay.
So first of all, you are a born and raised Kansan,
Yes.
Overland
Yes.
Park.
Yeah. Shawnee, Overland Park, Lenexa,
Okay.
Johnson County. Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
Well, that's neat.
Yeah. Yeah. Moved around, but yes, born and raised Kansan.
Okay, cool. What schools did you go to?
Neiman Elementary,
Okay.
Antioch Middle School,
Okay.
Shawnee Mission North High School. I also went to Comanche Elementary for about a semester, and that was a rough scene. Open concept.
What? How
Weird.
does that work?
Yeah.
I've never even heard of
No-
that. For
no walls except in the bathrooms. Yeah, strange.
so all
strange
the
time.
kids are just having class. Like
It was weird.
that is
It
kind
was
of
like
weird.
Just like a battleground.
I know.
It really was.
Some
Yeah.
Lord of the
Didn't,
Flies
uh,
stuff happening there.
Turns out that concept didn't work too well for me. Anyway, but no, Shawnee Mission North High School, University of Kansas.
Man. Okay.
Rock Chalk.
Yeah.
Very cool. I don't have any like sports thing to be like, oh, cool sports.
Yeah.
You know, whatever sports. Are they Jayhawks?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
There you go.
Rock Chalk
I
Jayhawks.
could have
I'm
Justice.
glad you knew that.
Yeah.
So sad. It's
Sorry.
so sad.
Basketball school.
He's a movie
Basket-
person and a
Basketball school.
nothing else
Yeah.
person.
That's
Big
about
basketball
it.
school.
Yeah, movies. My kids. I can talk about my kids a lot. I can't talk to you about sports.
Okay. Yeah, same.
But you also run Steps of Faith.
That's right.
So I wanted to ask how that came about.
Yeah, Steps of Faith Foundation. We're a 501c3 nonprofit. Started in Nashville, Tennessee, based here in Kansas City now. How that came about, so I have a robot leg, fun fact. Right? Can we see that?
Yes.
You getting
Yeah.
that?
Awesome.
And usually when I've been here in this building, it is to talk about this.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, the guy who owned the prosthetic place where I was a patient in Nashville in 2013, very long story short, I was at a point where I was a touring musician and we had a brand new baby and I didn't want to leave the house, let alone leave the city. And they asked me to talk to a guy who had just lost his leg, who was getting fit with a new prosthetic leg one day. And he was like, would you be into that? I was like, I would love that. I feel like that's part of why this happened to me. I wish that I could do that more, that kind of thing. So again, very, very long story short, I met the guy who owned the place and he was like, I've been trying to get this nonprofit off the ground for a few years. I've been busy running this for-profit business that you are a client of. What if you do it? And so, yeah, tossed me the keys. And
Wow.
about 10 years later, here we are.
And how did it was from cancer, right? Is that how
I lost my
your
leg to
leg-
cancer in 2005, Ewing's sarcoma.
Mhm.
And, yeah.
Is that a rare form of cancer?
Ish, yeah. It's like more commonly a childhood bone cancer, but mine was in bone and soft tissue, and I was not a child. I was 28.
Wow.
But yeah, so not like unbelievably unheard of, but
Sure.
rare-ish. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And did you do all your treatments here in Kansas City too?
I did. Yeah. I was living here at the time. That was 2005. And shout out to Dr. Howard Rosenthal, who saved my life, and Dr. Mark Myron. And yeah, that was all here.
And then how did that lead into Thundergong?
So yeah, lose the leg in 2005, all that, and then get back on the road. I was a touring musician, drummer. And then we moved to Nashville in 2009, my wife and I. And then Steps of Faith, the baby and Steps of Faith started in 2013. Moved back to Kansas City, here to the heart of America, in 2016, and then I'd already been trying to get. So, while we're talking dates, hope you're keeping up. 2006, there was a big fundraiser that happened here in town that a bunch of friends threw because I needed to raise a bunch of money for a prosthetic leg.
And like, give us a ballpark of what a leg would cost.
Well, ballpark would be $5,000 to $150,000.
Wow.
So what did you have before you'd gotten what you currently have?
I had a very, very basic temporary hydraulic knee. So I lost my leg above the knee. So the prosthetic part, the prosthesis has a knee joint in it as well, right? So that's just like harder to learn how to use and more money.
Is it
because it's
just
more
not as
stuff.
comfortable too, or
I wouldn't say that. It's just harder to learn how to use.
Got it.
You know,
Okay.
It's the simplest way to
Yeah.
describe
Yeah.
it. It just takes more time.
Mm-hmm.
So anyway, and then my insurance would only cover half of what I needed for the permanent prosthetic leg. It's not the actual permanent one. It's just the permanent type. I'm actually about to get 4 legs later now or whatever. So a bunch of friends, we did a comedy show and a concert, and these friends raised a bunch of money for me. I played at the concert as well. One of those friends was Jason Sudeikis. So Steps of Faith starts 2013. Basically from that year on, I had been talking to him like, if we do an event like you guys did for me and we raise $30,000, that would be able to help, because my leg is $60,000.
Wow.
So to answer that question, we'd be able to help like more than 30 people the way Steps of Faith works, because we can help somebody for as low as $500. We can get a prosthetic leg on somebody. Everything medical is very expensive. We are able to purchase things at wholesale, and we have the prosthetists, those are the doctors, the specialists, donate their time. So a little bit of money goes a long way in getting somebody to walk again. So I had been talking to Jason about trying to do this event, to answer the question about how Thundergong came about. And so it took a long time, and we started to even try to go down that road when I was living in Nashville. But basically getting back here, my family and I, we moved back here in August of 2016. And then Jason and I had started having a very serious conversation. I tried to have a very serious conversation at the beginning of the year with him. As we were talking earlier, I had a very serious conversation with him about it in the spring when Steps of Faith was in the spot we were always in once or twice a year, which was about to run out of money. He stepped in, he helped us out. And then it wasn't till that summer that he was like, we had already talked about this event, and what it would look like, a music thing. He would host lots of drums, that kind of thing, involving drummers who were also singers, that, friends and friends of friends. And he was friends with Foo Fighters. And so, which is a band.
Not a bad group
Not a
to be
bad-
friends with.
yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah, right.
they seem like a fun hang.
Yes, yes. And so basically, I remember he called me one day. He was like, "Okay, I just got off the phone with Taylor Hawkins. He was about to go on stage in like Rio or something like that, and he loved the idea. He said they're 75% in for this day that we'd looked at on the calendar. Where this is 2017, where they had a day off and they were going to be coming through Kansas City. Is how we had kind of looked at it, which was a Sunday even. Anyway, very, very long story short, Foo Fighters ended up not being able to do it, but we scheduled it around them anyway. We got them eventually.
But you've gotten some really cool bands and stuff. I know,
including them in 2020.
Yeah, Winona Judd's been there. Chance the Rapper, who I love,
Yep.
and I know like Will Forte's come through,
Yep.
and Fred Armisen. I mean, that's pretty incredible. And like, how does that make you feel to have all these people like step up and give their time for this?
Wonderful. And they're all friends. That's kind of the thing. There's not. We did a little more kind of, I wouldn't say cold calling, but it was like, who do I know that knows Michael McDonald? Those kinds of things or whatever. Actual post I put on Facebook last year. We never go to like, how do I get to this famous person? Because it's always somebody we know. But it turns out I knew somebody who knew somebody, right? So yeah, it feels great. Steps of Faith, we get prosthetic limbs for folks that have no health insurance. So they have no other way to walk or no other way to use all 4 of their limbs because they're stuck in the ridiculous system that is our health care misnomer system in this country. So I think, for the most part, once people learn about what it is that we do and how it works and that kind of thing, and especially if you see a story of somebody we've helped, you can't then unknow that, you know. So I think all of those folks are down with the cause. You know, Cactus and Winona. I mean, Cactus lost his leg. He is a drummer. Lost his left leg above the knee, like me.
Was that a motorcycle accident?
Motorcycle accident. And so he and I had met because of that before Steps of Faith even started. So they have a connection to it. Obviously, Jason and I have a connection because we're lifelong friends. And then, again, it's just friends of friends. So they're down with the cause, of course, but it's like, oh, and it's a lot of fun. We get to go jump around and
do improv and sing silly songs.
Exactly.
And rock out with cool people.
And it continues to get bigger and bigger each year.
Yeah.
How much last year did you guys make from Thundergong?
So the last 2 years, 2020 and 21, were virtual shows. We actually pivoted very last minute last year to make it a virtual thing. You know, 21 was we all know, was a weird transitional year, you know? And so, you know, you couldn't please everybody when it came to how you handled doing anything in public. And so, but thankfully that's behind us. So yeah, to answer your question, last year was like $400,000 or something like that. So, things look to be like we will hopefully easily beat that this year. And that's the goal, you know what I mean? It's also like ridiculous pressure, you know. It's like, I mean, that's a lot of money, you know, and we're a tiny organization. But the more money that keeps coming in, the more we can grow and the more we can help more and more people. I mean, we had a goal to help 185 people this year, and we've already helped 200.
Wow.
You know, and we're a 3-person staff in a room that is a fraction of this size, with volunteers all over the country. But we also have, applications of people wanting our help that come in every day. So the more money we raise, the more we can keep the lights on and keep the legs on and all of these kinds of things. So, yeah.
You talked about your relationship with Jason Sudeikis, lifelong friends. Did you guys meet in high school or as children, or how did that friendship form?
High school, college. So yeah, we met. I was 18. Was in the spring of my senior year of high school. He's a year older than me. And so he was at Fort Scott Community College. And we were coming into Comedy Sports, which was an improv comedy club here in Kansas City, later became Comedy City. And yeah, we were coming in at the same time and ended up in the same workshop training class together. So we just were kind of together every day. And then we started doing shows, and then we were together all the time. And he didn't have a car. And so, I was often his ride as I would be coming in from Lawrence. And so, yeah, just fast friends since we were teenagers.
That's great.
Yeah.
Well, then what does it mean, or how exciting is it for you to see somebody who's such a close friend become like as immensely popular as he is now?
Yeah, I mean, it's the dream. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? It's like you if you're normal, I think you love your friends and you want to see your friends succeed and their dreams come true and that kind of thing. And
So you're not rooting against him actively, is what you're saying?
I am not actively rooting against my friend.
Hashtag don't believe.
Yeah, right.
Darn you.
Yeah, Bizarro Billy hates everything. No, no. I mean, I love him. He's my brother, and
Sure.
So it's great. And I think that, I mean, he's a guy that's been. I mean, when he even got in was hired as a writer on SNL, it was like, oh my gosh,
Sure.
it's happening.
Yeah.
And that was in 2003, and then when he got I remember he called me when he was asked to join the cast, which was like at the end of, I don't know, his second or third season, I've lost track, as a writer. And he was just added for like the last 3 shows, I think, of that season in 2005. That happened to be when I was pretty newly in chemo and that kind of thing. And there's a whole other crazy story about things that happened as that phone call was happening and my hair falling out and wild times. But I ended up I was able to be there for his first show.
Oh, that's awesome.
As a cast member, which was great, which was for SNL nerds.
Who was the host?
It was Will Ferrell and Queens of the Stone Age.
Wow.
very cool.
Musical
That's a good one.
guest.
Yeah.
So, and then Ferrell came out and reprised the more cowbell role playing.
Nice.
So
That's a classic
really cool.
sketch.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's very cool. And now, so this year's show is November 12th.
November 12th, Uptown
And-
Theater.
And
Are there still tickets available?
At this moment, there are still not a lot, but yes.
Okay.
So it might sell out by the time this airs, but you know, if
and
you're
we
close.
have more people that we plan to announce as of today, at least a few, and so any one of those is worth way more tickets
Sure.
than we currently have available. So
So at least as of now, who do you have that you can say now? I mean,
as of this moment that we have announced, Jason is hosting and performing.
Brendan Hunt.
Fred Armisen, Brendan Hunt, who was with us at the first Thundergong as Elvis Prestello.
Well, that was probably before Ted Lasso was airing,
It
right? So
was.
nobody
Yeah.
really had any
That's
idea
what
who
I'm
he
saying.
was.
And
Yeah.
now he's Coach Beard, Ted Lasso.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think who we've announced. We just announced Sam Richardson, who
That's
is
very cool.
Yeah,
incredible.
I saw that yesterday.
Who was with us in 2018, and not only is he a really just a joy to be around and a great actor and a funny guy, but he's like a professional grade singer. Yeah, like legitimately incredible singer.
I complain about that a lot when there's like a really good actor who can also sing, and I'm just like, it's just not fair. Like you
It's
should
too
have
much.
one
Yeah.
talent.
I know.
Like it should
All
not be
those-
allowed.
All those guys can sing, and they're all musical, which is what makes the show work and so fun. But Sam is like, could be a professional singer. We have not announced this as of today, but the bridge is, and we just don't have the graphic ready. But our friends Hembry from Kansas City turned LA, incredible band. They're family friends. They're going to be on the show.
I didn't even know they were from Kansas City.
Yeah.
Actually, that's really cool.
Yeah,
We should try to get him on sometime.
Yeah.
yeah, from Lawrence.
I like
actually.
them.
They're from Lawrence, but and there are 3 or 4 others that I can't say just yet.
But you're excited about?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I guess we can talk about movies now.
Let's do
So
it.
sharp turn,
Yes.
less serious.
Yes.
We can talk about movies.
Love it.
Okay, cool. You said you were really excited about this. You said it was right up your alley.
Yes.
So that's
Pop
awesome.
culture nerd, love music and movies and all of it, man.
Okay, cool. Well, let's start with what is your most memorable movie-going experience?
You know, there's so many movies I saw when I was a kid that was just so exhilarating,
Mhm.
you know. I remember having the same feeling seeing the second Karate Kid movie
Okay.
in the theater and seeing, which in retrospect I probably shouldn't have seen in the theater, maybe Weird Science. I love that movie.
That's such a great movie.
I love it.
But probably Top Gun. I mean, you know, which is kind of back on the tips of people's tongues, you know. But I mean, those guys hit the nail on the head with
Mhm.
like the movie they just made was for me. You know what I mean? And for that whole generation, that was, you know, I've probably seen that movie more than any other movie. And I saw it in the theater like a lot. Like I don't even know how many times. You know what I mean? Like saw it in the theater and then saw it when it was at the Dollar Theater, the Glenwood theater that's now a church, the Dollar Theater. So yeah, I saw a lot of movies when I was a kid, but those are
Okay, good answer.
I like Karate Kid too, and because I'm a huge Karate Kid fan, and then also Cobra Kai on now. It's like just the best show.
That's all you guys
ever.
talk
So
about is
I
Cobra
Kai.
know. Justin and I just go on and on
it's
about
so
how,
good.
what a great show
and
it is.
totally does the same thing where it's like there's this whole generation of people
Yeah.
that were kids that were
Yes.
like so taken by this, you know. So they all kind of hit that nostalgia.
They
bone.
just do the nostalgia in such a corny way, but it works so great that it just
Yeah.
brings all of the wonderful things about what the
Right.
movie was into the TV show.
That's what I said
Yeah,
before.
yeah.
Some of their cheesy stuff, they just lean into it.
Right.
It's like Terry Silver
but
with
it's
the ponytail.
cheesy, and it's also
cheesy, but it's so
very
good.
inappropriate too. I mean, they
Oh, yeah,
have
yeah.
like some really just like R-rated stuff in the TV
Well, yeah.
show, and you're like,
Yeah.
I love that this is corny, but it's not like PG corny. It's,
Sure.
Yeah.
No, it works.
it's got
Yeah.
some fun stuff.
Yeah. Are corny.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. You gotta have that.
Yeah.
What's a movie you saw way too young?
I mean, maybe Weird Science.
Yeah, Weird Science.
I definitely
Chet.
Yeah.
Isn't his name Chet?
so good, man.
Bill Paxton.
God, right, man. Probably. I mean, I remember watching my buddy, shout out Steve Chanel. When we were kids, he was a big horror fan, and I wasn't. But I mean, I watched horror movies with him like way too young. Like I had HBO when I was a kid.
Yeah.
My parents were great parents, but it's like those kinds of things. But I think probably the thing really was I remember in middle school, so 7th or 8th grade, going to the theater at Oak Park Mall, which of course isn't there anymore. Me and my best friend Tim Crow and my dad and stepmom took us to see New Jack City.
Mm-hmm.
We, because we shouldn't have seen that movie as children, preteens.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I've told
it's
the
okay,
stories.
Dad.
It's
It worked
Yeah.
out. I
What
love
was
New
the
Jack
first
City.
movie that you saw in theaters?
I'm not exactly sure. The first movie I remember seeing in a theater was E.T.
Oh man,
Good one.
That's a good one.
Yeah, and I also remember this. Spoiler alert. You know,
In
E.T.
case you haven't,
Yeah,
in case you haven't seen
by
E.T.
now.
E.T. goes back to space
Yeah.
at the end, and that was unbelievably sad. Like I was like screaming, crying, sobbing.
How
Had to
old
be
were
taken out of the theater.
Oh.
Well, we'd have to do the math on what year that movie came
Yeah.
out.
Yeah.
I'm 45 now, so I mean I was little, but yeah. Yeah.
I was scared of ET when I was a kid. So
Oh,
Yeah.
I was
My wife is still scared of
terrifying.
ET.
Oh,
And
really?
I'm like, he's the cutest thing ever. And she's like,
Yeah.
no, he's scary.
He was all
I'm like,
crusty and white in
Yeah.
that scene, and just
Yeah,
like
he got better,
dying,
though.
and it
He got
was.
I
yeah,
love
it
though
was
how they
sad.
make in that movie like the scientists, the bad guys with
Yeah.
the music and everything too, and you're just like,
Yeah.
how can you root against ET?
Yeah.
He's so
Right.
cute.
Right.
Yeah,
He
Right.
was scary.
he's just trying to
Yeah.
phone home.
Yeah.
What is your favorite needle drop in a movie?
Needle drop in a movie. Oh, man, there's a bunch of those, right? First thing that comes to mind is what is it? Usual Suspects.
Mm-hmm.
Kaiser Sose. The end. You can't really talk about that actor that plays that character.
Yeah.
Well,
I
or
know,
the
isn't-
director. It's a hard movie to rewatch.
Yeah.
Oh, who directed that?
Brian Singer.
Oh, right.
Yeah, I know. It's a tough one.
Gosh.
It's a
But-
great movie though.
Great movie. Great movie.
Bad people.
Here's the deal.
He used to be one of my favorite actors too.
We,
and I was like,
He
can't.
can both be a great actor
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
Right.
have
He's in my
terrible
Kanye
things he
bucket
does
now too.
in his
and-
personal life.
Yeah.
But so that aside, that's the first thing that came to mind. I mean, it's an incredible movie. Right?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
What's your favorite movie soundtrack?
Favorite movie soundtrack. I had both of these on cassette, so there's probably there is better movie soundtrack, but the two that come to mind, it all goes back to those kind of formative early memories. I would say is a tie between Footloose and the Top Gun soundtrack.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
also a good answer. I like the Top Gun soundtrack more than I like the movie, but I love Footloose, and
Yeah.
the soundtrack on that one also rules.
Yeah, so good, so good.
Highway to the Danger Zone.
Yeah.
Come
Classic.
on, man.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Yeah, playing with the boys.
Yeah.
After chasing sunsets, one of life's simple joys. Playing with the boys.
Have you guys incorporated that into a Thundergong yet? Somehow that song.
No, that's a real good
I
idea.
feel like you need to do
Gosh.
that.
It's not
Yeah.
too late.
It's not too late.
Um,
Don't let me forget
Like
that.
right before an improv set or something.
Don't let me forget
Because
this.
it's like playing with the boys. You're playing.
I don't want to get out my phone and put it on the
no,
note.
I'll remind you when
I have a
this is over.
Thundergong note of ideas. I got to.
That's great.
That's good.
Okay.
Yeah.
all right. Well, what is your favorite movie with some sort of tie to Kansas City? Whether it's set here, filmed here, there's an actor or filmmaker involved.
Movie with a tie to Kansas City. There's got to be a better answer than this, but the thing that I love the movie Casino,
Okay.
and mobster movie.
Scorsese, yeah, great.
Mhm.
Scorsese, De Niro. There's a one of the plot lines is a casino has a tie to a mob activity in Kansas City,
Oh.
which it's a fictional movie, but that is a true historical piece
Right.
that they incorporated in. And so if you're a Kansas City nerd, the area formerly known as the River Key, the River Market, was a entertainment, family, and nightlife district. I think I'm gonna screw up the timeline. I think early 80s, late 70s, early 80s. But there was a lot of mob owned thing, and then people stopped going there when these mob families started blowing up each other's buildings. This is actual Kansas City history. So, but anyway, I love that. I love the movie Casino, and I love that there's that just slight plot line
Sure.
connected.
I
to-
always think of because I love Casino, and
Yeah.
I think it's the scene right where they do they get off a plane and then they go under grounded in a restaurant or something in a basement, and they're all meeting for mob stuff.
Yeah.
And I always think of there's old school Italian restaurants in Kansas City that I will go by. I'm like, I wonder if they have a basement, and I wonder if that's where they had meetings.
Probably.
back in the day. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
But also, you could have said Jason Sudeikis since he is a Kansas City. What's your
Yeah.
favorite Jason Sudeikis movie? Is
Uh,
it also weird to watch your friend in movies?
Oh no, it's great. It's exciting. What is my favorite Jason Sudeikis movie? I love them all, right? I think a movie that he did that maybe not as many people saw as, say, Horrible Bosses or We're the Millers would be Kodachrome.
Oh, yeah, Elizabeth Olsen and
I think that he is fantastic in it, and I think that it is a really excellent movie.
Yeah.
So that's a plug. People should watch Kodachrome. I think it's on Netflix or something.
Cool.
So.
that's a good answer.
I've
Well, what's
heard
your least favorite Jason Sudeikis?
Oh
No.
boy.
I'm just kidding. We don't have
You
to.
can give him in trouble.
Do you have a favorite sports movie?
I mean, yes and no. I'm not a big sports guy, but you know, the beauty of sports is that unscripted drama, blah 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 blah. So if you make a scripted drama about sports, man, I don't know. I love Moneyball. I love Rudy.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I was supposed to do a podcast interview. I'm just now remembering with Rudy.
With
Oh,
Sean
wow.
Astin? Or with
No,
the real
the
Rudy?
real
Rudy.
Oh, okay.
I was more excited for sure.
Yeah.
Rudy Rodengardner?
Yeah.
What's his name?
Yeah,
Rudy
last
Rodengardner?
year. I don't think those guys ever got back to me.
Oh,
Hey.
well, maybe it's
Wow.
not your favorite sports movie now.
Not
Yeah.
anymore. Anyway, yeah, I don't know.
That's good. Moneyball's great. I just saw it. Well, it's like one of my pandemic movies where I didn't see it when it was released,
Yeah.
but I've seen it in the last couple of years, and it's. A
I
great
remember
I
really
love that
liking it, and I need to rewatch that.
Same.
Yeah,
for sure.
I like it
I
a
love
lot.
that movie.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
a good movie. Didn't Jonah Hill get
Yes.
nominated for? Or
He
did he
did.
win an Oscar?
I don't think
for
he didn't win. He was nominated.
that? Nominated.
Yeah.
That
Brad
was like
Pitt.
the surge of Jonah Hill like doing
Mhm.
Yeah.
serious
Serious,
things
yeah.
and
Yep.
getting accolades for his acting.
Yes,
Which I think is
rightfully
cool.
so.
What movies do you find yourself quoting the most?
I mean, definitely Raising Arizona, I think, is the most quotable movie of all time. To me, it's. I mean, I've not quoted a movie more than that.
Yeah.
You know,
What are the lines that you would say in like everyday life from that?
I am not in a season of quoting the movie as much as I used to,
Oh.
but I will say, I'm going to screw it up. But when there was no crawdad to be found, you know, we ate sand. You ate sand? You know, that was a big one. And I mean, there's so many, you know.
Sure.
Yeah.
Only if you think round is funny.
Yeah.
You know, I'll be taking these Huggies and
Yeah.
any cash you have in the register.
That was what I was going to mention. Anytime since I've had kids, anytime I go buy diapers,
Oh,
that
dude.
comes up. In
I
my
used
brain.
to say that all the time.
Yeah.
Like, you know, you don't actually say that as you're buying them.
Well,
'cause
no,
then
but
they'll be
it's
like,
but I think of
yeah.
it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Every time.
Yes, yes. It's one of those movies that there's like different seasons and times of life where there's something, you know.
Yeah,
quotable.
absolutely.
Hit the deck, boy.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway.
Well, what's a movie that? So I've decided in recent years that I don't really believe in guilty pleasures.
Yeah.
Like I don't feel bad about what movies I like. As
Right.
far as
Right.
But what's a movie that you have to defend, no matter how bad people say it is?
Oh man. Oh, I guess I would say I defend all the Star Wars movies.
Okay.
You know? I mean, even the prequels. You know?
Okay.
So it's probably those. You definitely have to defend the prequels.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you kind of have. Yeah.
Yeah.
You can. People get riled up.
They do.
Yeah.
The second and third one in particular.
Is there a movie on the flip side that you get a lot of grief for not seeing that everyone says that you need to see?
Yeah, I mean they're usually like horror movies and things like that or whatever. It's like, you know. So, yeah.
Like The Exorcist, have you seen?
Oh, I've seen The
Okay.
Exorcist. Yeah, and you know, I mean they're very disturbing movie. I will also say that since I had kids, seeing things that are like disturbing, even if they're really good, you know, like critically acclaimed and actually a good movie or whatever, my tolerance is like so low for that.
That's-
Yeah.
We were
Yeah.
just talking about this with certain movies. Since I've had kids, especially if there's like kids, if there are kids in danger, especially, I just can't. I can't really deal
stomach
with it.
What's the one I just saw that I hated?
I already forgot what it
Oh,
was called.
Don't
don't
speak,
speak no
speak
evil.
speak no evil.
Yeah.
Terrible.
No way.
Just avoid it.
Yeah, I mean, the title alone is like.
Yeah.
I started watching. Lots of controversy around it, but I started watching. I was traveling for work and Netflixing in my hotel. I started watching the movie Blonde.
Oh,
the
yeah.
Marilyn
No, thank
Monroe.
you.
Yeah.
I mean, the first several minutes
Yeah.
is just like child abuse.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And I was
Right.
like, and then I was talking to my buddy Eric Moline, who no longer lives around here. He's a California guy now, but he was current film critic, and about it, and he was like, "It's really good, but it's brutal." And I said the same thing since I had kids.
It's
Like,
just
he-
not
Yeah.
enjoyable.
Well, then he was like, "Then don't watch it,
Yeah.
because it's unrelenting, disturbing."
Yeah.
I was like, "No, thanks.
yeah.
There's a lot of stuff I can watch."
Yeah.
Yeah, I had to split it up because I was like, it was pretty rough. So I had to do like an
just don't
hour
see
and
the
then I take a
point of that.
break. Yeah, that movie I had to
Yeah.
I had to watch it in chunks.
Yeah.
But it's rough.
Justin and I talked about it, and he's like, "You're not gonna like it." And I'm like, "Because it's just torturing
Yeah.
people.
Yeah.
Like, why do I want to watch that?"
Well, you know what's crazy is like, this is getting pretty heavy. Okay, but like that movie Precious.
Mm-hmm.
you know, critically acclaimed and all that kind of thing, you know, seen as a masterpiece and whatnot. And it was. But the things that happen in that movie are so disturbing that I will say it's almost a thing, and it's maybe the only movie I can say this about, that I regret watching. Because it's just stuck with me. The most disturbing parts have stuck with me to the point that I wish they would go away.
Yeah.
You know, even though like the performances are amazing, Mariah Carey is incredible in that movie. Yeah. All of those things. Her parts aren't disturbing, but you know what I mean.
There are those movies though, because that are critically acclaimed, that are masterpieces that you feel like you need to see, and then like 12 Years a Slave for me was one of those where it's like I'm glad I saw it for the moment, but I don't think I can ever watch it again because it was too hard to watch.
Yeah, that's the thing with that movie. But I mean, it's like The Godfather has things that are disturbing, you know, but that I'll watch it every time it's on. You know what I mean? Like all three of those movies, even the third one. So, yeah.
What movie makes you cry every time you watch it?
Top Gun. No.
It's the volleyball scene. Val Kilmer without a shirt. Just
right. Yeah.
Waterworks.
Yeah. Right. What movie makes me cry every time I see it? Oh, gosh. I don't know.
Lion King. No,
I should have prepared for that more.
If you say Frozen, it's okay.
Right.
I cried at the end of Frozen, and they give me grief.
Yeah. I mean, there's got to be there's an answer there that I'm just not thinking of, where it's like every time it gets me. You know, I mean, you joke about Frozen. We love going to see movies in the theater, and thank God there's more and more of that lately. And most movies that we go to with our kids, you know, some animated movie, most of the time I cry at some point. Most of the time. Even Lyle the Crocodile. We just saw that.
How was that?
Totally great. Loved it. Totally cried. Totally cried. Yeah. So that doesn't really answer your question.
I saw a scene of the crocodile dancing with
Constance Wu?
Javier Bardem.
Oh, Javier Bardem.
Yeah.
And I'm like, it actually seemed kind of fun.
Yeah,
It's
like a
great.
cute movie.
I don't know. I saw the trailer and thought it was a fake trailer. I was like, this isn't real.
Dude.
But I didn't know it was based on a book either. I didn't know
based
that.
on a book. It's really great. And he can sing, but he can't talk. But he understands English, but he can communicate.
Oh.
I loved it.
Okay.
I think I loved it more than anyone in my family.
You at least had an emotional
How old are
response.
your kids?
9 and 7.
Okay.
Yeah.
So they are at the point where they know what's going on. They could understand
Oh,
it.
yeah.
But
Yeah.
we're probably looking at each other. Why is Dad crying?
Yeah.
Every
Well,
time we
yeah.
go see a movie.
Well, let's talk about some of the other movies that are like maybe they're your favorites, or maybe they're just important to you in some way. So you gave us 3, but what's your first one?
Raising Arizona is my favorite movie ever. You know,
It's great.
It's
Great
very
movie.
funny. I saw it in the theater. Again, maybe should I have seen that? Is that rated R? I don't even know. But I remember I was with my dad and stepmom again. Different stepmom. We don't need to get into that. Yeah. This is one before the one that took me to New Jack City.
But the common theme is they took you to movies, so
took me to
it's very good.
Thank you, Dad. And I remember I saw that in the movie theater that was in Crown Center.
Oh.
Yeah.
Which is where the MTH.
It's so sad that every place you've named, it's like no longer has movie
Yeah.
theaters.
I know.
I remember the one at Oak Park Mall that you said. Yeah.
Plaza.
Well, yeah, well-
Well, then there was Oak Park Plaza,
Yes.
which is where Target is
Yes.
essentially.
Yeah.
now. And
I miss movie theater malls.
I know. Well, I think because I live near the Oak Park Mall currently, and I think
movie
it was when we had David DeSmalchin on. He mentioned the theater at the Oak Park Mall, and I was just like, "Why isn't there one now? I could walk
Yeah.
there.
I know.
That'd be amazing."
yeah, I don't. Especially, it's not like that went out in 2020.
Yeah.
That went out a
long
long
time
Yeah.
ago.
Yeah.
Like,
Malls have been dead for a while.
What-
Let's
yeah.
be
What
honest.
in the world? No, Raising Arizona is I mean, my favorite. You know,
It's
if
so
I had
good.
to pick one, and it just, you know, again, I remember seeing it in the theater, and I remember that whole night, and you know, I've quoted it for years and years.
And you
years. It's
rewatch
like-
it probably
all the time.
All the time.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Is that another one that's on TV and it's like, oh, I guess
Of
I'm watching
course.
this now?
Yeah.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
I own it on DVD. And I remember when my wife and I started dating in 2005, I was like, we have to watch this.
Yeah.
It was like a litmus test. And she was into it. Not as much as me, but she, you know.
Do you
Yeah.
still pop DVDs in from time to time, or are you totally streaming
I
now?
haven't in a while.
Yeah.
Which is both sad and fine.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, you don't need to if
I
it's
don't
on
need to.
streaming, but
Yeah.
And that movie's really good, and that's why we allowed you to actually come on, just because Raising Arizona was one of your choices.
I
It was
haven't
a
seen
test.
it.
Yeah.
You've never seen it?
No,
Oh my
I know.
God.
I'm going to.
Coen
Wow.
Brothers,
I love the Coen brothers.
wonderful, great cast.
Nicolas
It's Nick
Cage.
Cage, right?
Nick
yeah,
Cage,
I love
Jo-
Nick Cage.
John Goodman in that
I know.
movie.
I hear great
Oh,
things about it. I've
Get
just
out.
not seen it yet.
Get
Man,
out.
It's sad.
well, you're
Shame
off the
on me.
podcast.
You brought up
I
a
shouldn't have
great
said that
point,
out loud.
Justin. I think that we need to submit these questions beforehand, like we did.
Yeah,
and
it's a
then if you say
screening.
the wrong answer, then we say, we're booked.
Never mind.
Yeah,
On
sorry.
second thought,
That's why I ask those in advance. It's not so I can watch them. It's just so, you know.
To see if you're worthy.
Yeah.
fair enough.
What's your second one?
That's got to be Empire Strikes Back. You know, I've already mentioned my Star Wars nerddom, but I also think that's just a really good movie.
Yeah,
It is a good
absolutely.
You know, I mean, I know I'm not alone in that thought. But was it Lawrence Kasdan wrote that
That's
screenplay?
right.
And so, you know, back to your that's from Empire Strikes Back.
Yeah.
that picture. I just love that movie, and it's this cool middle movie in that trilogy. And again, I was born in '77, so I feel like I was kind of born into Star Wars love, and yeah, it's just so good.
What's next?
In the faves? See, I've been thinking about this a lot. It's like a tie between a lot of things. I mean,
Sure.
all the movies I keep talking about, all of those movies as a kid, all of those, Beverly Hills Cop, Stripes, all of these kind of, SNL alum 80s movies. But also, I love the movie Heat. I love Michael
Heat's
Mann.
classic.
Yeah.
I loved Miami Vice, which is another. I mean, that was on TV, but it was at 9 o'clock. I watched when I was a kid. But I mean, Heat. I remember seeing that in the theater, and that movie's been on my mind a lot lately because I guess Michael Mann wrote a novel.
Yeah, like it's like
too.
prequel and sequel in some way. or
Yeah,
something.
and so I think that's really interesting. Tarantino did that with Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, which I really want to. I loved that movie so much, and so I really want to read that book.
My husband read it. He said it was good.
Yeah,
Mhm.
he liked it. I mean, I love Tarantino. I'm talking about disturbing. Like those movies
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
are so crazy violent,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
I love them. And I mean, you can't.
It's the camp that makes it less
Yes.
revolting.
Yeah, and you can't. I mean, the end of that movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe that's.
I-
We can give away the ending.
I
of
wanted
E.T.,
more of
but
it.
it's not-
I
mean,
wanted more of it.
Is
Yeah,
the
I do
most
too.
bad Brad Pitt stuff
Oh,
ever.
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And kind of the rewriting history, the justice piece really
Yeah.
hits me.
Yeah.
Anyway, but no, I would say it's a tie between a bunch of things. All these 80s comedies and that were really influential. But then also then Heat was 95. There was a lot of things that happened in 1995 and movies that came out and records that came out and that kind of thing. It was the year I graduated from high school. It was the year I met Jason and all these big moments in life. So yeah, that movie came out that year, and I remember seeing it in the theater, and it was just like, this is incredible. I love all those actors, and the shootout with the bank thing,
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
whole thing.
Oh my gosh.
Intense, yeah.
Which is kind of in the middle of the movie, really. I mean, is the most like. That's the, it's like, this isn't lost on you guys. The beauty of the movies, it's the thing you remember when you were a kid for whatever reason, how it made you feel or whatever. But like those, when you're like, oh my gosh, and the crazy scene or series of scenes or the movie itself or whatever ends, and then you feel your body relax,
Yeah.
and then you realize that you have been physically tense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or like
For
her
the whole
sweating
time?
even.
Yeah.
Totally. I mean, that's incredible. Like, that's the magic of the movies.
Yeah.
Man. Baby Driver made me feel that way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Me
You
too.
know,
I was
and
going
mean-
to say just Drive made me feel that.
Yeah,
Oh my
Drive,
gosh.
Yeah.
Oh
Absolutely.
my gosh. I
Yeah.
loved, and those are two movies where also they have incredible soundtracks and score.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's true.
Oh,
Yeah.
Drive is
So-
one of my favorites.
So, I mean, gosh, that music is so great.
I like any of those like lean forward. It's like you realize like, okay, I've been leaning forward
Yeah.
for like
Yeah.
the past 20 minutes. I need
Well,
to just relax.
Totally. There's that's great. And the great thing about Baby Driver is it's orchestrated like a musical. There are moments where the music is completely, the
Yeah.
bam, bam, bam,
Yeah,
bam,
yeah,
bam,
that-
the hocus
Super
pocus
intentional.
focus, that
Yes.
song, in the shootout with John Hamm. It's just like, oh my gosh. It's so
It's
Do you
so-
appreciate? Do you feel like you appreciate those movies that really play into the music a little bit more because you're a musician?
big time.
Yeah.
And on that thread, I would say two movies in particular, well, three. I mean, Baby Driver being one of them, but where they ended, and I got emotional during the credits because I'm like, this is just a masterpiece, straight up. La La Land
I love that one.
Yeah.
and Birdman.
Those were the
Yeah,
two that I was
those-
thinking of when we
Yeah.
were talking about that. And I
Yeah.
was like, yeah, Birdman does that, and I love La La Land.
Yeah, and they just ended, and I'm just like, thank God for this piece of art, man.
Mm-hmm.
Not to be over dramatic, but it's so entertaining, and it's like also, knowing kind of what it takes to, I've done a little bit of acting, I've done film sets and things like that. Not about that, but more like relating to what it takes to put together like a concert or most importantly a musical, like a theatrical musical performance. It's the only thing. A movie and a musical are kind of brothers, siblings, in that it's like such a collaboration that requires so many different departments, and so like it doesn't work without teamwork. And so like that's a big emotional piece for me too.
Right.
And so just knowing like even kind of what had to go into making this thing happen, and also I will say same thing, and felt extra emotional about this because my friend made it, but the most recent Cinderella movie.
Yeah.
With
Kay Cannon.
Kay is a dear friend for since a very, 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 very long time, and is on Steps of Faith's board of directors. Having talked to her about the process and song ideas she had, and how to incorporate, as they would say, like the jukebox musical. There are original songs in that, but where typically in a musical you write a song that helps say what you're trying to say through the song to move the story along, right? And so Kay did a lot of that in Cinderella, and I just felt like this is such a feat. And so that's how I sing that movie and the ones we just mentioned. That's how I felt at the end of it, which is like, gosh, like way to go, I just love that.
That's awesome. Well, what a great way to end the episode. So, Billy,
Okay.
thanks so much for coming on.
Thank you.
Everybody, look out for Thundergong. If there's tickets available, get tickets.
Thundergong.org, stepsoffaithfoundation.org. Whether you're in town and if Thundergong's sold out, or you can go or can't go, or whatever the case may be, ultimately it's helping get people walking again through Steps of Faith. And Thundergong's one night, but Steps of Faith's helping people every day all year. So thank you.
Thank you.
so
Thank you.
much.
This was so fun.
Yay.
Yeah.
Yes.